noodle restaurant with a car budget of 100,000 to 150,000, I believe many users want to choose a relatively young pure electric car. At this time, you will find that there are many pure electric cars available at the same price, but there are really not many mainstream cars that sell well for young people, such as Xiaopeng's Mona M03, including Lynko's C20 Gram X, including Volkswagen's ID3, but you will find that these products can't be called one step because most of them here are compact cars. Also, the entire rear wheel of the ancient sand. Therefore, for many users who are interested in product strength and want to do it in one step, they are not a particularly comprehensive choice. At that time, you can actually pay attention to the BYD Poster 06 GT next to me. First of all, this must be a medium to medium-sized car, and its entire level is also higher. In addition, in terms of version range, it currently has a price board, and the weekly price range for non-simultaneous sales is the same as 136,800 to 186,800, but the discount for the bracket version is smaller, and the current comprehensive discount is 4,000 yuan for the 4V version, and the discount is currently available. It's about fast, so from the terminal, there is still an obvious difference in this price. In fact, this car is currently the best-selling car, which is the entry level and these two versions. Then after the discount, the price of the naked car is 120,000, 30,000. What can you get with 120,000, 30,000? First of all, the size of a mid-size car and its entire interior space is better. In addition, the front and rear independent suspensions include a GT shape, which gives a body feeling. I think the entire body posture of this car is still very good. This is also the core reason why it can sell more than 5,000 units per month as a small and heavy car. Then in terms of the entire external configuration, this car is equipped with LED headlights in all series, but except for the non-bracket version of the entry-level model, all of it will have a function of its own light. In terms of tires, the standard 18-inch car will be upgraded to a 19-inch car from the top version. The length of the car is 463028220. How do you say this data? In fact, among many competing products in the same price range that focus on young personalities, they often fail to take into account the ride experience in the rear row. On the contrary, this car has a good performance in the rear row space. This is one of its core competitive advantages. Let's come to the car, actually experience it, and come to the back row. Of course, this exhibition hall is actually a bit possible, but the effect is not very obvious in the entire back row. But when you sit up, everyone can feel it first. That's what I said earlier. On the contrary, the practicality of its whole rear space is his core advantage, because I can see it. In fact, this car owner plays a young sport, and such a positioning is a matter of ocean net. It's true that he used an integrated seat, so it's true that this seat is thicker, but the whole seat is ahead of the front driver. This leg has at least 2.5 fish, right? It's just that as a pure electric car, it has a relatively high floor degree and has a certain degree of empty selection on the legs. Let me see. The entire seat rests on the rear, my arms are completely on it, and compared with my body, one of the advantages of its GT car is that it is reflected. The entire headroom is very wide, so this car is relatively rare in the same price range. I focus on a young and sporty car with a posture, but it can take into account the practicality of the rear row. For many young users who only have one car, this obviously feels like having their cake and eating it both ways. This, I think, is relatively rare. Then when you buy a bracket board, basically starting from the entry point, the configuration of each row is fully extended, and the large panoramic sunroof overhead is complete. For example, the rear independent air conditioning outlet Type-C plus USB charging interface, the standard equipment of the entire unit, including the cup holder on the side set, are all standard equipment of the entire unit, and the entire ride performance of the rear row, including practicality, is very good. Then I came to the front row and followed him. What are the specific configurations? Then I came to the front row. In fact, my first feeling was that his machine didn't look like it was reflected in other views, right? I think it's a bit unusual to sit in the front row of a car with such an avant-garde machine shape. It's almost the same as most things in Ocean, but after all, its price is positioned in another position, and it's also a mid-size car. The materials used should be better, just like a middle platform here, right? It's really good to match this texture, and this car is made of many kinds of materials similar to suede Alcantara. Like this seat, it's also a double screen feeling, including that it's a tube ear belt. With this stitching, it's just a sitting point, and the overall matching quality is very good, but I think compared with the whole youth, such a positioning in the future, I think we can make some more jumping measures, and maybe the personalization will only be higher. One difference is that now this price plate is mainly added. What is the main difference? Then the new and old models are almost the same in terms of basic configuration, such as the 10.25 full instrument frame and 12.8 British central control, which is standard in the whole system, and that it will be upgraded to 15.6 inches when it comes to the second entry level. In addition, it is equipped with 360 panoramic photos as standard. Considering the purchase price and the non-505 kilometer entry, in fact, I personally prefer the smart price version and its improvement will be more obvious. Then users with a particularly sufficient budget can actually consider increasing the budget of 10,000 yuan, and the second entry version of his smart price board is increased, such as the front seat and the screen size becoming larger. In addition, there are some improvements in comfort configuration. Then these two 505 kilometer versions are equipped with a 59.52 degree zero acid ferric battery and then a 400 feet platform. It's already completely enough to use a level, and then by comparison, I personally don't recommend that you go to his 605-kilometer version and 550-kilometer four-wheel drive version, because the price of their whole naked car is over 150,000 yuan. On the whole, I believe it's not difficult for you to find out why this car sells for about 5,000 yuan as a small and heavy car. This is actually a mainstream technology, because in comparison, you will find that the cheaper one is really not as big as others. The actual price of the version is 120,000 or 30,000. In fact, compared with the previous ones, the prices of the competing products I mentioned basically overlap, and there is not much difference. Therefore, I currently think this car is in the midst of sexual driving. It is strong and practical and relatively cost-effective. A drive.